Hey Snappers, my name's Eggs. I'm super excited to introduce you to the first card of the Rise of the Phoenix season, Jean Grey. She's a 3/3 with the ongoing ability. Players must play their first card here each turn if possible. So I'm going to share some decks that I thought that she would work great in, and then we're going to look at some gameplay from those decks. So the first deck that I decided to give a try with her is obviously Surfer. She's a 3-cost. Seems straightforward. I decided her best spot would be in a Sarah Surfer deck. I included a lot of the regular Sarah Surfer pieces like Polaris, Wave, Maximus, Storm, Killmonger, and I really saw an opportunity in being able to Jean Grey a lane and then brood it and be able to play outside of lanes while your other opponents are stuck playing into Jean Grey. I also wanted to include cards like Kitty Pryde, Jeff, just because they're really nice cards that work in a lot of different archetypes, and I think they're a great addition to this, especially for Jeff, which you can play outside of the Jean Grey lane if you don't draw a brood. The next deck I thought Jean would work great in is a control deck. I wanted to try to include cards that would force your opponent's cards out of the lane and put them pretty much in the worst places. I wanted to include Kingpin here to throw their cards out using Juggernaut, Stegron, or even Arrow, and force them to get destroyed on turn 6. I wanted to include Wasp here to allow me to place a card into the Jean Grey lane and then place a card outside of it. This allows me to Arrow on turn 6 into the Kingpin lane if I haven't already filled my Jean lane. Altogether, I think that this deck could be a really interesting take on control, and I'm really excited to try it out. The next deck I wanted to try with Jean was a Patriot deck. I also included Silver Surfer here because there's a ton of 3 costs. And we also have the opportunity here to fill our Jean lane with Brood very early on. This deck allows us to go wide and produce a ton of power even if we're just locked into the Jean lane because we haven't drawn our Brood. I've also included Invisible Woman here. If we're able to fill our Jean lane, we could Invisible Woman, Patriot, Mystique into a separate lane or even in the Jean lane too. I think that this could be a really consistent deck, and Jean can add that sort of control option to Patriot. The last deck that I wanted to try out with Jean was an ongoing deck. So I took a lot of the basic pieces of the ongoing package: Ant-Man, Mojo, Armor, Iron Man, Blue Marvel, Spectrum. I also included Thanos so that I could use Thanos' stones to play into Jean's lane and then play outside of Jean's lane. I also thought that Valkyrie could be a really nice piece here because we're using so many of the stones to fill the lanes, or even filling the Jean lane with stones. And one card that I really feel like is a sleeper hit that I've lost to a ton recently is Claw. And I felt like that could only make sense, that we could play Claw into the Jean lane and take another lane that we don't have access to maybe. So I'm very interested to see how this one plays out. Jean Grey in the first hand is everything I've ever wanted. Ooh, an Elysium. I'm not too bothered, but ooh, okay. More 3s and Silver Surfer. Don't mind if I do. Actually, Jug is pretty good for our Jean Grey lane. Interesting. So next turn, we could actually Magic Weird World and get our cards back if we wanted to. It's just Jug for now, I guess. They got our Brood and our Wasp. I wanted that card. Now they're forced to play in the game, that lane again too. And Storm. Yeah, let's do this. Ooh, still got our Patriot. Okay. I would like to play Magic, but I think that I just Patriots Mystique. And then we can Silver Surfer, and that left lane's gonna be yuck. Okay. Crazy opponent. We could actually do this. That's fine. Our left and middle lane are really strong. Okay. Let's go. That was a little close there. I wasn't really comfortable with that Professor X coming down either. Okay, cool. Even though our opponent filled up their Jean Grey lane, the Juggernaut, to get that Brood out of the lane, sort of messed with their turn because it required them to play into the Jean Grey lane the next turn, even though they thought they had it filled up. So I think she really came in handy there. Ooh, that's a good starting hand. I think we play Nebula into Stark Tower. I want to snap on this hand, actually. I think it's a really good hand. Machine World. Okay. I like to put Jeff in Stark Tower and then move him after he gets buffed. That's rude. Oh, okay. I guess we just do it into Mojo World. I think I want to use our Wasp here and try to pull Quake or Nightcrawler out of Mojo World so that they have to keep playing into Mojo World. Okay, fine too. I feel like now is a good time to Gamora. Our Nebula is huge. I mean, it's definitely this, right? And we just throw a card down, I guess. Doesn't really matter. Actually, we can do this. Our Nebula is just really carrying that lane anyway. Alright, Jug secures the Mojo lane for us. Which is excellent in the event of a tie. Polaris. Pulling a rock, alright. Nice. Nice. Good game. Ooh, I feel like Control's so strong with her. I love that. That was super fun to be able to pull cards out, and especially on Mojo World, that really is an important lane to win, and being able to jug on the last turn when you know they're definitely going to play a card there is great. Okay. Ooh, doggy. Ooh, super flow. I want to put Jean down in Superflow to force them to use it, but I also really want to put Sarah out early. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Ooh, Brood is so good. Okay, perfect. Now we can be free to play Sarah into Onslaught Citadel. Rude. So, if we want to play Kitty, we have to play it after Killmonger, obviously. So let's do that. Yeah. That's 1000% a win. There's no way. Onslaught with Sarah is ridiculous. We just played 6 cards. And our opponent has just got too many big cards and gotta play them into Jean's lane. Amazing. It's honestly so good against these large card decks, because they just get screwed if they don't get the draws that they need to play outside of it. That was a good one.
I wanted to include this game to show what it looked like when there was 2 Jean Greys against each other in different lanes. It's a little bit of an interesting interaction to see how it plays out.
If we can force our opponent to not be able to play in Shuri's Lab, that is everything. But I also really want to get Kitty, because Shuri's Lab and Kitty is honestly beautiful. It's a beautiful interaction. And incredibly rude. Interesting, okay. Let's do this. Oh, they got our Jean Grey. Okay, so 2 Jean Greys on the board. Basically, you play into one of them, you're able to play in another lane. They just count. Right now, I don't have anything to play into it, but I can just kind of guess where they're gonna play, and my assumption is probably Shuri's Lab. I was wrong. I think we use their Professor X. I do think they'll probably use theirs. Yeah. Okay, well, Jean lane's locked. We each win 1. Running 2, so she's a 5. Plus 3 for an 8. Wait. Could this actually win? Because Jean will take the Monster Metropolis from them, so it'll just have 7. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's the ticket. We don't need Kitty, but I'll just throw her out there. Nice. Easy. Nice. So the Jean interaction is a pretty interesting one. Fortunately, they take each other into account, so if you play into one of the lanes, you can play outside of the lane. Jean. Mojo's a really nice card with Jean because it forces your opponent to fill the lane and therefore buffing Jeans or buffing Mojo, which is ideal. There's our girl. With Avengers Compound, like, it's a tough choice. I think I'll just end up reality stoning it because I would prefer them to play into New York so that they can't move cards into New York. So let's do that. Rude. So we can really easily fill the lane this turn. And actually, I'm gonna do this. Well, okay then. Spectrum here is absolutely gigantic for us. So let's move Jeff with Spectrum and just Space Stone here. Yeah, that should be able to win it for us. At least New York. Nice. Nice. I love that idea of being able to funnel the cards into a location, especially like New York, which is always such a frustrating location because you play such mind games with yourself deciding if you want to move cards there, for example, moving Cosmo or not. So that was really good. So that was Jean Grey. I had a ton of fun playing her. I think that she's a really interesting card, can fit into a ton of different archetypes. I think that she's a really cool control piece and messes with your opponent's plans. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with for decks. I'm really looking forward to the meta changing, hopefully. Thanks for watching. Again, my name's Eggs, and I hope to see you around.